Hi, folks. Welcome to the first of our Transformation Tuesday series. And you remember the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to have interviews that I want to share with all of us, with entrepreneurs who are facing challenges of COVID. Right now we're all in no movement days and we're having a lot of challenges. Many persons are feeling a little worried about the future. But I want to talk to business owners who, despite COVID, since last year we've been going through this pandemic, are doing things in their business that's helping them to survive and to continue to grow during this crisis. So, why we're doing them is that what we want to do is to inspire others. Many business owners have said they feel so alone. So, we want to inspire others to take action in the similar way that the entrepreneurs that we're going to be interviewing will be sharing. So, our guest today is the lovely Dr. Janice Simmonds Fisher, and she's the founder and CEO of Bioregeneration Integrated Medical Center. Yes, it's a long name and a very good business. So, Janice, welcome to our Transformation Tuesdays.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Marcia. Thank you for having me.
Awesome. So the first thing I want to kick off with, Janice, is, we said this long, big name already. So tell us about, I'm going to call it Bioregen for short. Tell us about Bioregen, a little bit about it, your business.
Thanks. So, bioregen actually means biological regeneration or biological repair, and it's kind of underpins the whole idea that the body is a self-repairing device. And so, what are the tools that we need to really optimize repair, and so that we don't have to probably be dependent on
Mhm.
lifelong medication or mechanization, as in an artificial joint. What are the tools that we can use to really help the system to keep strong and keep biological? So,
Mhm.
what we do, it surrounds perhaps two main areas. One is regenerative, which is repair medicine, and the other is integrative. And integrative medicine combines modern standard medicine with evidence based complementary therapies. So,
Mhm.
um, we do a number of practical things to really help anybody who is having a challenge with, we say, a stubborn health condition. We call it refractory in medicine. It's
Mhm.
really just not getting good control. Um, we also do a lot with anti-aging medicine and wellness. So
Mhm.
some of our flagship products I see you put on the screen include our stem cell repair. We do a lot with painful arthritis. We also have very novel treatments for erectile dysfunction. And we've brought in some of the gold standard from Europe into the Caribbean. And I'll
Mhm.
share a little bit more about that. We do quite a bit with back pain and, of course, vitamin infusions.
Mhm.
And these are just giving vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and peptides directly into the veins. And it can really optimize health situation quickly, optimizes nutrition, it gets rid of any nutritional deficits quickly, and we really can guarantee 100% absorption when we do it that way.
Mhm. Wow, so I see so many services there, Janice, that really and truly, as we're going through these challenging times, that I see could be very, very useful right now. We're going to go back to that soon. But what I want to find out first is, why did you start it? Everybody here is an entrepreneur, so they're building their businesses and everybody has their why. Why did you start Bioregen and what is your why?
Yeah. It is a deep question and one that I keep coming back to. I think what resonates mostly for me is that it was a calling. I mean, I really felt that I went into medicine to go into research. So I always had a bit of curiosity and not really very satisfied with the status quo of just being able to treat some patients and others to say, sorry, well, we really have nothing to offer you. So it started with a thirst to help those patients who were doing everything and not getting control. Um,
Mhm.
and for me, it led to exploring what other physicians were doing in other areas of the world. I
Mhm.
remember I started with one cancer patient, and she was at a point in her journey where the chemotherapy had no further value, and she had done surgery before, and radiation wasn't offered for her. And just to find out what we could do in terms of extending life, promoting good quality of life, and really, being available to help her. So the journey had brought me initially to Germany and to Mexico. And as I started looking at other conditions, ALS and neurological conditions, I explored other areas and started to um, have a feel for biological repair. So for me, it was filling a deficit that um, was needed for my patients that I couldn't currently um, offer any practical solutions with the
Mhm.
pharmaceuticals or surgery. So it came out of a deep longing to be of service to not just some of my patients, but all of my patients, to increase the amount of tools that I had in my armamentarium.
Wow. So what is the vision of Bai? I'm going to share everybody. Let me just tell you that Janice is one of my one-to-one coaching clients. I met her in Vision Achievers from Scotiabank Vision Achievers program. And so, she is very much aware of the need for us to have vision and mission statements. And, we've been sharing that in the group. So, Janice, what is the vision for your business?
So our vision is actually to be the world leader in optimizing health and longevity. I think we've been maintaining for a long time in medicine, and we're more than in the space that we have to do more than maintaining. No, we have to be learning to optimize. We have to take it to the best that each individual practically can reach. And that's what it takes to heal certain stubborn health challenges. So I thought we should bring it into wellness. We should actually extend this into longevity and vitality in aging. So those are our key areas: optimizing health and longevity.
And trust me, as you say that, everything you're saying right now, Janice, is just really what people are thinking about. You have this long COVID, you have everybody thinking about, is my immune system strong? So everything you are saying is really now about our wellness to be able to combat illnesses, not just COVID in general, correct?
Correct, absolutely.
Absolutely. Who would you say, we always talk about having an ideal customer. Who is your ideal customer, your best customer, or your target audience? Who are you really trying to reach?
So I serve anyone with um, what we call unmet medical needs. And it really is a wide umbrella because, as an integrative practitioner, we are able to assist in a number of family practice situations. So, anyone with a painful situation, especially that really just not getting control with all of the medications that they're being told, anyone who just desires to really experience a greater sense of vitality and wellness, and who wants to age with their vitality and with their grace. It's my key, I would say, niche. So the majority of cough and colds don't come to me unless it has been persistent and they haven't had any luck with the resolution with what they've been given. And so I'll add to that basket and I'll be able to look at other areas. And one of the things that integrative medicine always seeks to do is to figure out why. So we spend a little bit more exploring some of the nutritional areas that could be contributing. We also explore genetic markers and underlying dysfunctions that could be awry that we can tweak to create a situation where that inflammation is stemmed.
So you get to the why.
Yes, our goal is always to get to the why.
You get to the why. And it seems to be that when we're like at our wits' end, everything is not working. I love that back pain one because, so many of us have back pains and you go beyond just that. I've seen people who are really frustrated come to you because they're saying, I've tried everything, doc. What else can we do? How else can I treat this? So I think you're meeting a very an unmet need right now in society. And so, Janice, you just keep doing what you're doing. I love it. You're a pioneering woman, and as I said, I coach you, so I know how resilient you are and how innovative. So that takes me now into the next question, which is everybody has been impacted by COVID. So, what has been the greatest impact of COVID on your business of this pandemic?
Well, I think like many other businesses, lockdowns, the no movement days, and the restriction in mobilization has resulted in fewer numbers of patients coming out. And although it is a pandemic, it's a health challenge, so physicians are really in need. Are We should have our hands full. From a practical standpoint, I would say most of the patients with underlying situations are staying at home, and as a result, sometimes they are coming out late in the course of their illness when there are complications. And so I think what we had to do was to look at the tools that we had available. And one of the major things that I had to do was really to digitize the business as much as I could, which for us included telemedicine. Most times it's telemeetings, Zoom and Google Meets, and so on. So we launched a telemedicine platform. We also tried to ramp up our communication because it was so much anxiety, so much fear, so many misconceptions, to so many um, just what you would say, just misleading information that was going on. And because we had so many queries, we decided to really just address them. And so I started a whole newsletter. I decided to really put in additional phone lines in so that we could be more available. We had more emergency numbers, one that I personally would man and others that other team members had, so that we could have that all the patients could have access
Mhm.
whenever, even if they're terrified of coming out or just unable to come out, we would be able to walk them through the situation, and really kind of guide the process and decide on when intervention was needed for them to come out or to seek help at a hospital level, and really to navigate the challenges, especially with those that were diagnosed with the COVID-19 infection, because it comes with a lot of fear and a lot of unknowns. And there were also a lot of challenges around vaccination program and just shedding light on some of the misconceptions. So I think digitizing and really just communicating, just being open to hearing from our clients was important for us to navigate the road ahead. We understood what they wanted. We understood, what the challenge was for them, and we tried to bridge that. We tried to kind of bring that divide into a little narrow strip that they could walk easier. Um, yeah, and I think many businesses have had to make adjustments, especially where digitizing and being online and being available for persons who could not leave their homes was concerned. And I think, this actually increased our reach. So we no longer had just those within Kingston. We were talking with patients across the island and overseas in the diaspora.
Mhm. So, what I'm hearing, Janice, is that in your pivoting, you kept in mind your patients. You
Absolutely.
kept in mind the people you needed to reach. And you
Absolutely.
said, okay, I can't reach you in the normal ways now because of COVID. So you pivoted. I love this one. You did your side. You went into telemedicine. And that was so important because you found a way now to still be able to reach your client. And I love how you said because of that, now you started to increase your reach. Your patients were no longer just local, but now international, global, wherever the diaspora was. And then the second thing that you did was you communicated more. What I'm seeing with some business owners is that in this crisis, they're kind of pulled back, and so instead of communicating and being out there, they've kind of pulled back into a shell. But you said, no, we need to communicate more. We need to reach them. We need to find different ways. We need to educate. And we always say in marketing that marketing is both communication and education. So you had to find a way to reach them and educate and still help them. So, what you just shared, Janice, we have this formula for success called B times do equals have. And I know you know that one very well. So, you knew what you wanted to have, you still wanted to build your successful business, and you knew the things that you had to do. But there's always something I come back to, and that is who did you have to be? We say in coaching is 20% business and 80% behavioral, which means you can know something, but then you actually don't do it. And what makes you do it is your mindset. So I really want you to delve a little more into this, Janice. Who did you have to be?
Yeah, it's something, that I still ask myself daily because I realized, that I had to, it wasn't who I was, it was who I needed to be. And who I needed to be was assertive, confident, reliable. And so um, I had to upskill myself quickly, around COVID, which wasn't hard. We were inundated with information. Um, and I had to be accessible and reliable. And I created systems. We sat down to create systems around everything, around our red flag, around who would enter, who wouldn't be able to have an appointment in office, what were our screening for COVID, how we would, be in one voice in terms of providing care for our COVID patients, making sure that all our bases were covered. So we systematized a number of things, and I had to grow. I mean, it was a very difficult time amidst all the chaos surrounding the lockdowns and trying to keep our business numbers up and making sure that our responsibility to our staff. We didn't really want to have to lose any staff members. We didn't want to have to downsize. We wanted to make sure that we could pull our team through with us. And I had personal losses. I lost my mother-in-law, who has basically been my mother for the last 22 years. Um, I lost a brother. It was a very difficult period, and I also had to be relocated in the office. So I think, in terms of who we have to be, we have to make a decision every day as to why we're doing it. And if our why, is such that we really have to make a difference, that we have an opportunity to every day to really be of service to someone, to change one person's life for the better. And that is before us daily. Then it allows us during the difficult periods. And um, God knows COVID has been difficult for so many reasons. That it allows us to get up and go out every day and do it with confidence and do it happily, knowing that it's not happening to us, but it's happening for us. And we really get a chance to be of service now. So I think it's going back to your why. I had to really be digging up my why. Why did I start? Why am I continuing? Why don't I leave this and do something else? And for me, it was that I needed to create and to, and, we touted ourselves as being able to treat refractory situations, and to have additional tools where um, the box that is modern medicine is lacking. So I think COVID gave us, sort of a major opportunity, not just a crisis, but an opportunity to grow, to figure out new ways of optimizing health from a distance, to do it quickly and to recognize who needs it, to recognize the indications, who needs what, and what works well in our population. So it was really just a determination to do good.
You see that? And as I listen to that, entrepreneurs, as you're listening to Janice, that be so important right now. We can either roll over and die, or we can get up and say, every day, I'm going to put one foot in front of the other. I'm going to walk forward with confidence, belief, optimism, and I'm going to take all the actions that I need to take. Janice, another thing that you did was we have our coaching community. We have started this group, We Build Successful Businesses, where we're saying as so that as entrepreneurs we can live abundantly in a more prosperous Jamaica. Tell me, how important is having a community to you?
Oh, absolutely important. We, at least through Action Coach, had a number of mastermind sessions, which I think allowed us to dig deep, to really grow as leaders. We were able to look at John Maxwell's Leading Through a Crisis, which was very topical. And I think, that gave us a roadmap. Simple tools. There are crises that have happened before, and we can look at those institutions, those companies, those CEOs that have led large teams through crisis and what they did and what worked and what didn't work. And just really looking at that, it became practical, it became realistic. Okay, this is what we can do. We can create an action plan, we can create a communication plan, we can decide on the areas that are vulnerable or those staff that are vulnerable that we actually could help with transportation or help with another area. So I think sitting down with a community forced me to really look at the bigger picture, to look at the long term situation, to plan for COVID, to plan during COVID, and to plan after COVID. But to
Absolutely.
also look at the opportunities during COVID that we can actually in our areas capitalize on.
Absolutely. And then you keep using a word which is called planning. Many people just get up and they're just winging it. But Janice, you recognize, and folks, she's an amazing, she's so detailed. Her plans, her financials, she knows her numbers. I mean, she's just excellent because she recognizes, as many of our business owners do who are in our coaching community, that if you don't plan, then you plan to fail. So you notice everything she's saying is we're planning, we're coming to our quarterly community in our growth club session, which is actually coming up on September 29th, and we plan for the next quarter. And then she executes on that plan. So absolutely awesome, Janice. So I wanted to also have you talk a little bit about, we always like to share, smart people learn from their mistakes, wise people learn from the mistakes of others, which is why we kind of come into the mastermind and we look at what other people have, mistakes other people have made, successes, what they have done, so that we can do it as well. So, what mistakes, Janice, did you make along the way? And how can other entrepreneurs learn from your experience?
Okay. I suppose I made quite a few. So yes, I think one of my earlier mistakes and a large mistake too was to underestimate my supply chain. So there are a number of things that we buy locally in terms of medical supplies, but there are others that are we're dependent on imports, and so a number of things actually ran out because we just underestimated the time and the delays that would occur. And of course, we had a number of unnecessary delays, and we could had to put off major procedures because of small things. So I think planning and looking at the whole supply chain and how you can guarantee everything that you need for the regular conduct of your business is going to be important. No, but also in the future.
So I want to now go into, and that's a very, very important point, folks. We need to really look at that as we're moving forward, because if we don't have that in place, it can seriously impact our business. And I want to ask you another question now.
Mhm.
You spoke about your why and the vision. And what's inspiring you most today? Everything that's happening. We have the COVID challenge. We have people not taking vaccinations. We have employers being frustrated. We can't seem to move the country forward. What's inspiring you most today?
I think daily I'm inspired by people. I'm inspired by people who have so many difficulties with their health and who get up and who go to work and who share a life with me. I get to hear amazing stories of just people who have triumphed. And I think just being part of their story, just being able to learn from them, to be inspired daily. Um, but I think I like a good comeback story. And I think COVID, gives us that opportunity again to really find something that has, its gripped around everything that we do. And yet we're able to, as people, come together and find a way out of it. And I think never before has there been so much collaboration as we see now in the scientific community. So
Absolutely.
yeah, it brings hope for our future.
I coach a number of other doctors as well in our community, and I always say to every one of them, thank you so much for your service, what you're doing. Some of us take for granted that the fact that if you turn up at the hospital or if you need a doctor, they're just always going to be there. And you guys are struggling as well. With well at the hospitals with the load of patients that are coming in mostly unvaccinated, etc., and it's taking a toll. So I love how you said that we as professionals now are collaborating, because we really do need that kind of collaboration now, because everybody cannot end up in the hospital.
No.
So Janice, what I want you to talk about now
Hmm.
is what are some of the things that you do that will help us to be able to strengthen ourselves, so one, we don't end up in hospital, and two, that we can probably fight off more getting the virus. What are some of the things?
Oh, absolutely. So this is the time to really look at your health and the areas that you've been putting off to try and put a plan in place to kind of work on. I say to the patients, optimize the blood sugar now, optimize the cholesterol now, optimize the blood pressure now. Get to your best health ever. This is the opportunity that this the best way that you can really guarantee a system that's formidable against this and any variants that may arise in the future. So if you have a decayed tooth that you've been putting off, this is actually the time to get it sorted out. If you have an issue with your weight, this is the time to really look at some of the tools that you can use. And while you're in lockdown, to really spend time working on your health, to spend time looking at how you can be in the best shape that you can be. I also I'm a big proponent as an integrative specialist of using the tools that are in our fridge and in our spice racks. So most times I can call a patient and say, what do you have? Do you have thyme? Do you have onions? Do you have garlic? We want to be eating well. We want to be really having our ginger, our turmeric, our fresh herbs and our spices, hydrating, exercises, strengthening. But I also have been using, and I have to tell you, I have been using a number of plant extracts. And certainly from the beginning of the pandemic, we've been working with various plant extracts and we've been able to kind of decide on the ones that show really the best um, results in terms of bringing the symptoms of COVID down to a very narrow period. And of course, there are what we call the long haulers. These are patients who had COVID and for months and months, suffer with various symptoms, could be insomnia or the heart racing or just really not breathing well and have to be on pumps and steroids. So there have been a number of herbal extracts that I have used in my practice that have been of great service. And we've put together different packages for our patients, looking at nasal care and looking at just optimizing the immune system. One of the top herbs for me has been one called Palo Guaco, and it's a cousin of
How
our
you
regular
spell that? Spell that for me,
guaco.
Jenny.
It's Palo and guaco, Guaco. So
No.
there is a guaco that we have that's like a shrub, but this one is really a vine, and it's just been very useful in terms of um, I just find it a herb for our time. It helps to oxygenate, it neutralizes toxins, and it also has a bit of an anticoagulant ability. So again, I think for those who want to try something in a preventative strain, that it has been very useful during COVID and even for long haulers. That we find that it helps in terms of just speeding up the rate at which our lung repairs after the damage of COVID and the scar tissue that COVID can leave. So yes, I have been using, and of course, anybody who needs more information can contact my office. There is also another product called Virus that's made by a Jamaican doctor, Gail Defoe, out of Dominica, that I found that it has really been important in the fight with COVID. Really have used it in a great preventative way. In a lot of my vulnerable population. And a lot of them have reported after 18 months and having family members and co-workers with COVID of not being affected. So we're documenting these and hoping to be able to in the future present it in a scientific way and perhaps a link to the body of information, um, so that we can translate these into actual pharmaceuticals or perhaps just more availability as we get more information. But
Boy,
definitely
Janice,
good
you
use.
just shared so much good information for me. Um, because a lot of us are thinking about, okay, if I get COVID, then what do I take? Oh, yes, there is a vaccine and so on, but you can still get COVID even if you are vaccinated, but you just may not get very sick. But I like how you mentioned that, listen, there are things that we need to do now for our health, not just even for COVID, but just for wellness to be able to withstand any other. I don't think this is going to be the first and last virus. And so, really, about, you said blood sugar, cholesterol, blood pressure, weight management, and then you mentioned decaying tooth. I really want you to talk about that a bit more because there are some people who may not think, okay, how does my mouth impact anything?
Right.
Talk a little bit more about that.
The way I see it is that it actually supplies a lot of bacteria that
Hmm.
may be beneficial or may be detrimental if the immune system is vulnerable. And if you have a lot of the bad bacteria, which we call the pathological ones, then when the immune system drops with COVID, they will take advantage of a vulnerable situation. So we can have a bacterial co-infection on top of a viral infection. So you want
Wow.
to kind of clean up and make sure that there is less burden on the immune system, for one, because
Mhm.
active infection anywhere, sinuses, throat, nose, pelvis, but will always be engaging the immune system. And so it will make the system less available to actually dealing with COVID. And then in the event that COVID comes and drops the immune system, a lot of times it's the opportunistic infections that we already have that take hold of us. So it's the weakened immune system from all our parasites, heavy metals, decayed tooth, bad sinuses that really spread throughout and really wreak havoc on our system. So it's important to deal with those infections early and to strengthen the immune system by reducing any infections that are creating a lot of work for the immune system.
Janice, I just want to thank you again because while not many doctors realize that there are businesses you have set up, you have set up Bioregeneration Integrated Medical Center. Yes, you're treating parents. It is a business. So you've looked at it both from a CEO perspective for growth, you know your numbers, everything. And at the same time, you're stepping up to the plate to create different ways in which you can help patients, both for the present and for the future. And so I really want you to, folks, I have a ticker at the bottom there with Dr. Fisher's information for Bioregeneration. You can see where she's located at Haining Road, 15 Haining Road, Kingston 5. Her numbers are 876-565-1168. And you can get her on our website, Janice, drjanicefisher.com. Let's take control of our health. Let's take control of our health, especially as CEOs. You know, many of us, if we get sick, our businesses will suffer. So we really have to start looking after ourselves. You know, you have heard me speak about the Stephen Covey time quadrant, and there's one where he speaks about we have to take care of the what's important and not urgent. And a lot of us aren't doing our blood tests, we aren't doing our executive medicals, we aren't going to the doctor, as she said, cleaning your teeth, making sure you look after yourself. As entrepreneurs, that's one of the things. It's called preventative medicine, and these are the things that we need to be doing. So Janice, I really want to thank you so much for sharing with us. Anybody having any complications, want to learn more about this palu guaco, did I say that right?
Not
Padu
really,
padu gua
but it's all right.
padu guaco
Yeah, close
extract,
enough.
right? Any of those things, please contact Janice and her. And Janice, before you go, I want to talk about team. You see, I'm here signing off.
Yes.
How could I talk? How could I leave here without talking about team? Tell us a little bit about your team because, you know, as Maxwell always says, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. But if you want to go far, you have to walk with others. Talk about your team. Mhm.
Right. Thank you. Yes, I'm ably assisted by a team of three. And so I have two nurses. Nurse Onella Malcolm Lewis, a lot of our patients will know me. They call Onella day and night. And Onella is one that will go to their homes and infuse them if they're dehydrated and do what she can to
Oh,
reduce hospitalization. And Nurse Duff, Kamisha Duff, she runs the front desk and she's very attentive. She really is an action oriented person. So she gets it done on whatever they need to get seen or get heard. She will make it happen. Of course, my husband, he works behind the scenes, so it would be remiss of me not to mention that he's integral to how the business operates. Although he's not in office most days, he works with us behind the scenes. And we have a new team member, Ariel Wint, who's going to be assisting us with our social media and in just our reach to our patients and delivering our services. So yeah, thank you. It has been uniting everyone around a common goal that
yeah.
we've been able to really go through. The relocation was particularly difficult. Our team rose to the challenge, and I can't thank them enough.
Absolutely. You know, when I remembered all the challenges that you went through, both the personal, then having to relocate, having to move, a small team, yet you did it all and you're back up again and you're serving your patients. And that's what I talk about when I say that mindset, that strength. You know, I remembered in one of our coaching sessions, you mentioned the word, we have to summon the courage. And I have kept those two words, Janice. So I want to leave with that last one. When you said summon the courage, I want you to talk to the business owners here listening because I believe many now need to summon that courage.
Yeah, I think it's a daily activity, one that we do with every interaction. But certainly, as we get out of bed, there is always that frog that we have to eat, that difficult situation, that difficult conversation that we need to have to really keep, you know, I would say on target to our goals and to be committed to our mission. So I think we have to, in that, remember that courage is important. And courage is sometimes the courage to be disliked, the courage to be happy, and the courage to really do something new, to do something that we believe in. And so, yes, for me, courage is an important part of the whole business landscape. So I think it's something that we try to do, in terms of providing even hope takes a lot of courage. And for our patients to believe in the possibility of getting better and working towards that takes a lot of courage. So we invite them into a situation that we feel like we are in at the office, a situation of hope, a situation of optimism, and a situation of courage. So we try to pull ourselves together and be one step ahead so that we can really share that with others.
Awesome. Awesome. Janice, I just want to say thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to speak with us.
Sure.
We're going to be doing more of these, folks, hearing these stories of courage, overcoming personal challenges, reconnecting with your why, having to pivot, having to do new things, as Johnny says, to summon the courage. So stay tuned. We're going to have these every Tuesday. We're going to go live at 7 p.m. We'll see if this time works and then we may adjust, but let's see if this time works for everyone. I'm trying to manage it with the lockdown, with the hours, etc. But we want to continue to share in our community where we say we build successful businesses. That's what we're there about. How can we together learn from each other so that we can get through and not only survive but thrive through and outside and out at the end of COVID. So thank you very much for joining us, Janice. Thank you again for
Welcome.
being our absolutely first guest on Transformation Tuesdays, and see you all for our next session. Take care. Bye.